Hello, we are live. Welcome, July 6th. This is Paul. Looks like we have some early viewers today, but excited to chat with people today. What always helps me get started at the beginning of this is if people ask questions. Asking questions makes it easier for me to start riffing on topics. Um, Just doing a quick check myself to make sure I had the right links set up. Let's see. I think we did. Yep. Um, cool. What? Because I don't even know if there's any viewers right now, but yeah. So just took off 2 weeks. Was doing a bit of traveling. We moved out of Austin temporarily for the summer. We're back in Connecticut with family. Got a cooler setup because my parents have actual furniture. Um, was in Portland for a week. Was in Seattle for a week. We also drove from San Fran to Portland. Short little road trip. Was pretty fun. I think. It's always a little weird when you're like moving and traveling. I struggle to like get back in a rhythm. However, hey John, nice to see you. Um, peace. Um, it's always hard for me to like get set in a rhythm again after I've been traveling. Especially this year, I've been doing so much stuff. Relaunched the podcast. I'm doing these videos. I'm trying to experiment more on YouTube as well. But yeah, it's excited to be back in Connecticut for about 8 weeks. And our plan is to go to Portugal in September. That could change, but pretty sure we're going. And just trying to get um, in a rhythm again. I have been writing these board letters, which is basically like what are my goals for the next upcoming 6 week work blocks. Um, Let me read out some of my goals from this one. Let's see. Goals for this is my second sort of like 6 week things. Um, Goals for the next 6 weeks are to ship my audiobook. So I've submitted that to Audible. Hopefully, will be approved within the next week. Two is prioritize family events. Being around in Connecticut, going to be around a lot of family. Just going to prioritize that. Three, I'm going to explore book opportunities. So, oh, hey, John, 1 month, just September. I'll be there for a month. I've been for a week, but I'm going to be just exploring it a little longer, but excited for that. Um, Other goals, I'm going to explore book opportunities. So the book's done pretty well, which has been sort of mind blowing and super cool. By the Pathless Path, if you haven't bought it yet. Um, but essentially, I want to reach out to like book agents and see, okay, they're unknown unknowns I'm not thinking about. Next is sort of level up some of the Strategy U stuff I'm doing. So I run another YouTube channel called Strategy U where I share consulting skills. This is from my experience in strategy consulting. And part of what I'm doing with that is these cohort based courses with corporations. I'm also doing workshops with corporations and trying to improve some of the stuff there. I'm always trying to like improve and see what the latest and greatest is in terms of online learning, teaching, all those things. But yeah, that's a bit of what's happening with that. I also am just trying to run the podcast. Just recorded an episode right now, right before this. Having fun with that. I have an editor helping me with video and audio stuff. I'm also seeking out sponsors just to like fund the podcast and help afford some of that. Um, that's been an interesting challenge as well. Um, yeah, what questions? Looks like we have like 3 or 4 people. We have KLL. Um, let's see. Good question. Love your book, Paul. What do you recommend as the best marketing practice for book launch? I am a terrible person to ask about this. I don't know. I would actually recommend Taylor Pearson's writing on this. He wrote this amazing article in 2015. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, my marketing book plan. Um, in terms of self-employment, this is probably the best. I'll post it in the chat. Um, hey Josh. Um, yeah, this link. Taylor Pearson, like super thoughtful, great writer, wrote about his marketing plan. That Instapaper link should bring you to the link. Um, I So when I say I didn't do any marketing, that's sort of half of the truth. The other side of it is I sort of know my strengths. I love talking about the ideas in the book. I love having conversations. So like podcasts are great for me. Basically reaching out to people I wanted to talk to. The book was a great excuse to do that. I ended up going on some pretty big podcasts, and that's really helped me. That's pretty much all I've done. In addition to that, I've sort of just written about what's happening with the book in my newsletter, and also just like reshare reviews and stuff that people post on Twitter and LinkedIn. But I'm not like super aggressive. I didn't have any goals in terms of book rank lists or anything like that, and it's already done way better than I thought. So yeah, I know a guy based in Algarve runs a good sized YouTube channel. Yeah, happy to. If we can get like, I'm totally in for like free housing and friends. Friends are good too. If we can't get the free housing, yeah, let me know. Shoot me an email. Um, hey Josh, nice seeing you here. Um, Yeah, but yeah, book marketing, I don't know. My fundamental stance on marketing is like I do want I do want to like make money from the things I'm doing. So I've leaned into that a little more in the past few years, but I want to share my ideas in the way that I want to continue doing it, right? So for me that's writing. I'm good at writing. I can do that. Two is having conversations. I can do that too. So that's pretty much it for me. Um, yeah, that's kind of how I think about marketing. I'm definitely under optimizing a lot of the stuff I've built. So I sort of am a creator that likes creating stuff. And I don't know, I sort of lose track of trying to sell stuff sometimes. I have this freelance course, which I think is pretty amazing, but I haven't really tried to sell it. I probably should change that, but it's just so hard on this path. I have so many random things I'm working on. Um, at some point, maybe I hire somebody or something, but I'm not sure. Let's see, more goals I'm working on. One of my goals is to ship more YouTube videos. So I want to do like video essays. Part of like why I'm doing these live conversations is it's fun, and it's also a way of just getting better at showing up and talking on video. So, yeah, trying to learn that skill. I don't think I'm like amazing yet, but I'm getting better. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. What what else? Let's see. Another thing I talked about this week, Paul. Reach out to Paul. Me. You can just probably Twitter. You can DM me. Pretty easy to reach. Um, Instagram works too. Just sometimes I don't check it. Um, let's see what else. This week I was writing about how I don't think the Great Resignation is real. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that the narrative of like all these people leaving their jobs, it just doesn't really hold up. From what I could tell looking at the data, it appears there was like a giant drop in the people leaving their jobs in 2020. This was because of financial boosters in the economy. This was because people literally couldn't get other jobs. There was kind of a pause in the economy, and other things. 2021, that bounced up like crazy, the quits rate. However, if you just extrapolate from 2019, it wasn't out of the ordinary. We saw it out of the ordinary in a few sectors: manufacturing, trade, transportation, utilities, education, and health services. Now, I think for trade, transportation, and utilities, there was just a lot of wage increases, same thing in education and health services, and also other factors like supply chain chaos, like chaos in the health industry of like working in hospitals and people burning out. So there's probably some truth to that. Manufacturing, though, I'm not quite sure. Manufacturing, I think one of the drivers is older employees leaving the workforce. So this is where the labor participation rate has dropped. Basically, there's been a 2.5 million person drop in the number of 55 plus employees in the economy. Now, maybe they return in a healthier economy, maybe they don't. There was also a 500,000 person drop in employees age 18 to 24. So if you add those together, it's like 3.5 million people that dropped out of the labor force. And they don't really fit this like popular narrative of like great resignation of like, oh, these young employees doing whatever they want. Um, Mostly what's happening is like people are staying employed and they're either trading jobs at slightly above average rates for a tight labor economy and rising wages, which would be pretty predictable. Um, and that's pretty much it. We're even seeing lower rates of quitting in some industries like finance, and pretty steady rates in like business and professional services. But this great resignation meme, it's catchy. People like talking about it. But what I found is people don't really mean anything by it. What I think is a better description of this is something I'm calling the Great Contemplation. So I define the Great Contemplation as three things. First, it's a shift in common knowledge away from the industrial default path scripts as the best way to orient your life, especially among young people. Two, it's an increased acceptance of a public conversation about these things, about over identification as a worker and leaning into options as non work experiments, sabbaticals, part time, or remote work. Third, an increased desire among knowledge workers to want to escape their existing success paths. However, I think a lot of this is still pretty latent. A lot of people have not taken action on it. From what I've seen in conversations on my podcast, subscribe to my podcast, um, is that these things sort of like seed themselves and then emerge slowly over a number of years. So that's kind of what I've seen in terms of what I would call like the great contemplation. I will link that up. And would love to hear comments on that, and let me know what you think. Um, if there's nothing else, that'll probably be it for this week. But thanks for joining.